This podcast is being powered by Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First of all, it's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Hi, y'all. Welcome to Mentally a Badass. Before we begin this episode, I do want to put a trigger warning. We do talk about suicide and depression on this episode. So if this may be a trigger to you, I recommend to not continue on listening. If not, then I hope you enjoy. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Mentally a Badass. This is Justine, and I have my good friend here named Christina. Say hello, Christina.
Hello.
Thanks for being here. So today we are going to be talking about postpartum depression, something I have never experienced. So I'm so happy to have Christina here because I love bringing in people to give me knowledge and to give you guys knowledge. So we're just going to chit chat about postpartum depression. And Christina, I want you to take it away and tell us what that is because some people may not know what it is.
Sure. So I have two children. They are 5 and 6 years old. And I struggled with depression and anxiety for most of my life anyway. So I had a feeling that postpartum depression would be somewhere down the line, and I was right. So postpartum depression is basically once you have your child, there's a lot of hormones. So pregnancy is just one massive ball of hormones. But then once you give birth, your hormones kind of go all crazy again because they're trying to get balanced. You're losing a lot of estrogen, and you're losing your blood is going crazy. Hormones are flying everywhere. So there's this rush of hormones, and it really can get you going again. Mm-hmm. And the physical process and the emotional process of giving birth really can trigger a whole lot of crazy and intense emotions. And mine was highlighted by the fact that my daughter was born 6 weeks early by emergency C-section, and she spent the first 3 weeks of her life in the NICU. I didn't even get to hold her until she was a week old.
Oh, goodness.
So that's hard.
That's definitely hard.
Especially because I was in the regular birthing ward, with everyone else, and I could hear all the moms, in labor. I could hear everyone say push, 1, 2, 3, etc. And then you hear the baby being born. You hear everyone go, ah. The mom holds the baby. Everyone leaves. End of story. Not me. I was sitting alone. Well, not alone. My husband was with me. But sitting in my hospital bed, chilling, no kid, watching Food Network because it was the only thing on TV. And recovering from an emergency C-section that I did not know 12 hours prior I would be having that day. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, this sucks. So it was rough. I mean, I think the fact that she was in the NICU for so long, for 3 weeks, really impacted it. My daughter has a heart condition called Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome. And basically, she has a little tiny little hole in her heart that can get, so an average heartbeat goes in, goes out, goes in, goes out, goes in, goes out. With her heart condition, there's a tiny hole that the heartbeat itself, the electricity, can get caught in a loop. And it just loops and loops and loops and loops. So she doubles her heart rate for no reason. It's a genetic thing. It skips generations. My aunt on my dad's side has it. But she didn't have hers until much later in life. And she had the surgery for it. So that was fun to figure out. But when she was when she was in the NICU, they were trying to control it. She was on oxygen. She was hooked up to all these wires. It was a whole thing.
Wow. I never knew, I knew what she had and stuff, but I didn't know, in detail. I didn't know, exactly, what it was. I knew she had a heart condition. But, that's insane. She's definitely a trooper. Guys, her daughter, Freya, she's just, amazing. How old is she? She's 6 now? She's 6 now, yeah. So just a little off track, just because, in this podcast, I always get off track, just because that's who I am. I mean, right? In my first episode, I had ADHD, so you guys are prepared. So basically, there's haunted horror nights. Universal Horror Night, which we couldn't go to, by the way, this year. Yeah, her daughter loves it, by the way, which most, like, was she 6 then or 5?
She was
5?
She was 5 when she went to her first
one. My goodness. Yeah, she was 5, and she just loves all, like, the scary people. And she just not about Mickey's not so scary. She's like, nah.
Not scary enough for her.
Yeah.
She's like a tomboy. She loves Jurassic Park. She loves playing Among Us. She loves playing Minecraft. She is just like this little warrior child.
She really is. She's so cool.
She's cooler than me.
Oh. I mean, I just feel like she's really strong-willed like you. And that's another reason too is I want you on my podcast because like you are a badass. No, seriously though, like I'm honest. I'm asking like certain people to be on my podcast because when when it makes sense and like I like Christina, like I know she had like her and I we both struggle with our mental health issues. I mean we always just chit chat every single day, just chatting
and chatting
of how sad we are.
We were Sadness Olympics.
We have a group chat with our friend and we just talk about how sad we are.
We laugh so we don't cry.
No, it's a good support group.
It is. It's good to talk about it publicly.
It's good. Yeah, it's a good support group. So pretty much, obviously, I had her in mind about it. And Christina, like, you go through a lot. Like, I feel like I have my issues, but you have issues. Like, you hold it together better than me. Like, you're just so come off as so like bubbly and happy, and then the group chat I'm just like my life is falling apart. And it's just like I feel like for me I'm just like I know I shouldn't have the mindset where it's like my problems aren't like bad, but I just feel like I'm here complaining about something so minor, and then you have all of like this stuff going on in your life, and you honestly are a rock star. Like I literally look up to you. Like me and Caitlin do. We're like, how does she do it? No, seriously, we're like, how does she do it? Because like, so I know I'm going off track, and I just always go off track. I can't wait till you hear my next podcast with next week, where you're gonna see like, okay, so in the beginning of the podcast, it's super chill, like we're actually getting into like detail, and then at the end, it's just like chatting about. We started chatting about healthcare in the U.S.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
that's related. That is related.
Well, it was because we were talking about Canada healthcare and U.S. healthcare when it came to mental health, so it was pretty relevant. Yeah. But anyway, let me go back to why we're here. You had that really hard experience when she was first born, and yes. 1 week without holding your own child.
Mm-hmm. So I got to hold her for like a little bit while they were literally transferring her from one incubator to the other. I literally got to hold her for like all of 10 seconds.
Wow.
I hold her, I literally like held out in my palm, and at that point she was only about 4.5 pounds. So she was just, the wires weighed more than she did at that point. Oh, I didn't even get to see her. You know how like when you have a C-section, they hold the baby over the curtain and you're like, oh, how cute. And then they rush, then they get the baby all cleaned up. I didn't get to have that moment because at that point, her heart rate was so high. It was like to 280 beats per minute. And I was having an allergic reaction to morphine. So I was spiraling out. Her lips were blue. Like she was from the lack of oxygen. So we didn't get to have that little hallmark moment where I got to see her.
Hallmark moment.
Yeah. Literally, they took her out and they asked Peter if he wanted to escort her down to the NICU, and they ran. Like they just ran to get her out of there. And then I was not dying, but having a very severe reaction to morphine.
Wow.
So it was a hot mess of a day.
Wow.
I didn't get to see her until 12 hours later. She was born at 4:19 p.m. I saw her just before 5 a.m. They wheeled me in with the wheelchair. And
you're sure you're up all night?
I was. I couldn't sleep.
You don't sleep. I don't think you do. Every time I text you, you reply. It'll be like 4 a.m, and you'll be like, yeah, I was awake. And we're like, well, do you sleep? And you're like, maybe if I'm lucky.
Yeah.
But that's what happens with having 2 kids, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I can't relate.
No, it's fine. You'll get there eventually.
Eventually. Maybe in my 30s. Yeah. I don't know. Right now, this is my baby.
This is your baby.
This is my baby.
Good baby. It's
yeah.
a really good baby. So like everyone was coming to visit me in the hospital. Like obviously my mom, my family, everyone, and they were all going down to the NICU and seeing her, and I literally, like, all I had was cell phone pictures. That's all I could see because she was there and I was there, and I wasn't able to see her yet. So it was a rough was a rough night. And the only, like I said, like I only was watching Food Network, and it was like a Chopped marathon. To this day, I associate Chopped with Freya's birth, so I can't really watch it sometimes.
You know what my mom associates my birth with?
Mhm.
Burger King. And I know my mom's going to be listening to this because she listens to everything I do. Yep. So when I was a C-section myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a blueberry.
Blueberry. Nice.
Oh my God. This is what happens when you drink wine when you're podcasting. Oh my gosh. I know. I think it's so much fun, drinking wine, podcasting a little bit. You had a glass.
I had a glass. Yep.
Yeah. While I'm here, let me go tell what I'm drinking. So there's a podcast that does that. It's about money, and they drink beer every time. They have a different beer.
Nice.
So it's called How to Money, by the way. And I'm gonna drink wine. Do the girl version of it, while the guys are drinking beer. Mm-hmm. So so right now I'm drinking a Pinot Noir, which is super good. It's great with brownies. And what do you drink?
It's like a Muscat.
Muscat, which is good with I think with blue jeans, right?
Yeah.
I don't even know. Apparently, it supports pediatric cancer, and mine supports animals. So it's through One Hope Wine. If you guys are interested in wine and want to help support causes and such, I'm going to leave a link probably in this episode description if you want to just take a look at it. But yeah, that's going to be a thing in this podcast. We're going to be drinking wine and chit-chatting about mental health, and be fun, good times. Mm-hmm. Anyway, done with the commercial portion of this. By the way, that was not sponsored. Just saying, I was just chit chatting. Where were we?
Burger King. You were a blueberry.
Burger King. I was a blueberry Burger King. Yeah, C-section. I was a blueberry, not a blueberry. And as the doctors were sewing my mom up, they were talking about lunch, and they were talking about getting Burger King across the street.
So casual.
And my mom was like, "How can they just sew me up,
right,
and talk about Burger King?" So my mom will always associate me with Burger King.
That. That's great.
I was born at 12:02 p.m., which is lunchtime.
Oh,
so it made sense.
I was born at 12:06, but midnight.
So in the morning.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So after the experience in the hospital, can we talk about post-hospital life?
Yeah. So I got to leave the hospital after a few days, but of course Freya stayed there for another 2.5 weeks. So what I would do to help with my crazy overwhelming depression was I would go once in the morning before after the doctors had their rounds. So that was around 10 a.m. Mm-hmm. And then I would go back home, and then I would call around 12 noon, talk to the nurse, ask how she's doing. And then around 3 o'clock, I would go back and visit. And then I would come home, and then I would call around dinner time. And then I would go back to the hospital after dinner. And so I visit 3 times a day and call 3 or 4 times a day. Plus I would call at least once at night, usually around 2 or 3 a.m. Mm-hmm. It was just a way to cope and have the tiniest semblance of control over it, because I was just crying all the time. If I was not, talking to a friend or doing something or pumping, I was crying. I cried every day for at least 3 weeks. And and the weirdest thing is, there was a lot of disconnect from my former, pre-parent life to what I had then. It sounds weird.
Was she the first?
She was the first.
First, okay.
So it's weird, not a lot of my friends, but a chunk of my friends who I was very close with, they don't know what to say or do.
They don't know how to.
And so instead of being hey, let me know what I can do, or hey, how are you? They just ignored me.
What? That's not nice.
It sounds weird, but it's more common than you'd think when it comes to new parents.
No, I get it.
I don't blame them, because I don't know what I would have done in that situation either. But I did have some friends that stepped up a lot.
Yeah.
So, but it was rough. There was one night, it was about she was in the NICU for about 2.5 weeks. And I was up at 3 a.m. pumping, whatever. And I called the nurse, and she was just super casual. I was like, "How's Freya doing?" She's like, "Oh, yeah, she coded out and she stopped breathing and her lips were blue, but I don't know, she's all right now." And I'm like,
wow, just so casual.
Just super casual
yeah, she
about
just
it.
Stopped breathing and her lips were blue. But anyway.
And I was like, and she was doing so well too, up until that point that we thought she was gonna come home. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow. And she's like, yeah, so oh well. And I was like, okay. And
what?
So
oh well.
I hung up with that, and I don't know if there's a trigger warning, but there's suicidal ideation. But like that was the first time in my life that I was like, if she dies, if she doesn't make it out of this NICU, I'm going to kill myself. Because at that point she had become my entire world. Like I have distinct memories. I was eating dinner with my mom and stepdad. It was cheeseburgers, which I love a good grilled cheeseburger. And I just remember taking a bite and then just putting the burger down and just sobbing. Because like all I did was cry. It was like I did, and then it's like I told my doctor, I told the nurses, hey, I'm sad all the time. They're like, oh, do you want pills? And I'm like, is that gonna help?
No, like, it's not.
I'm sure
there's a difference.
It's like
I feel like pills make sense when it comes to like overall like the chemistry of your brain. But if you're going through a crisis, pills aren't gonna fix that.
Yeah,
you need the support from people to be there for you and therapy and such. The pills are not going to fix what happened. And a lot of people don't understand that the brain and the soul are two different things. So like you can be sad about a tragic event that happened to you. I'm not going to give you pills and be like, okay, this is going to make you better. Yeah. It's not. Like that's not it. And it is sad that a lot of people think that medication is going to fix everything. Yeah. Like medication, for me, I'm on medication because I'm bipolar and I need to be stabilized. But if I'm having a crisis, right, of course it will help me stay stabilized, but I need or I cope weird too, so I don't know. I sometimes will just like talk to people and sometimes I'll just keep to myself. I don't know, I'm weird. Or I'll just go in the group chat and be like, hi guys.
We'll cry with you.
Well, yeah. I've had one of my friends I was going through, not crisis. Okay, that was a crisis. Whatever. My boyfriend broke up with me because I'm too crazy. But my friend Pia, she said that she was like, I'll cry with you.
Exactly.
And that just meant a lot to me. I mean, she's a good friend. So, and it's just good friend. Having good friends is definitely very important. It helps when going through this because unfortunately, a lot of people who don't have that kind of support, that's when people will commit suicide because they're going to feel super alone. But yeah.
It's rough.
I think I cut you off a little bit. I'm sorry.
You're absolutely
fine. That's a thing I do here. I just cut people off.
You're completely fine. It's your podcast.
You're the guest of honor.
And I totally, people definitely need meds. I mean, hi mom. My mom's on meds. I'm like, I used to be on, different meds for stuff too. And like, I agree that there is a place and time for them, but also you're right. When it's like that bad, that's when I realized for the first time, I was like, I need a therapist.
Yeah. So, it's just like people pushing meds. Like I just get so iffy about it because I feel like people just go straight to meds. And we know that they're going to be making money off. And is it really ethical? So it's just, that's another issue I should probably talk about on a podcast about the mental health field. Yeah. But I probably will talk about it, and I have fun stories. And I think I told you these stories of me getting stood up by my therapist twice.
Yes. Oh my God.
That's when I was at my lowest. I'm like, do I not deserve help? Okay. Right. Everything's fine. I got therapy tomorrow. Hopefully she shows up this time.
Fingers crossed, man.
Nah. I mean, I'm sure that's going to be a different podcast. We'll talk in detail. Like I swear, I love my therapist when I'm seeing tomorrow. It's not her. It was different. It was like a 2 years ago therapist.
She a bitch.
Dang, girl. Thank God I put this as E and not C. I mean, I do. I put all my podcasts as E because it could be heavy conversations. And also the title is Badass. So, I mean, it just makes sense to not put this in front of children. Yeah. So people have to be at least 18 to listen to this podcast.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Man, I go off track.
That's okay.
What were we talking about again?
So I finally decided I needed a therapist. And I did get one. There was like waiting lists or whatever. And I wanted a woman, but they didn't have one available for like months. And I was like, well, I don't think I have months. Like I need someone now. So I settled with some dude and he was fine. He helped like shift things into perspective. He's like, because when she was home, she was still on a heart monitor, but like obviously just having her home like that made a world of difference. Like,
definitely.
It really helped a lot. I mean, it sucked because she was on this heart monitor, so she always had wires attached to her, but it wasn't too bad. It was only 3 wires compared to like 20. So just having her home really helps a lot, and like kind of like get like a normal life and everything like that. But he like really helped to align things into perspective. He's like, because I was like telling him how I can't sleep because I'm worried,
something's gonna
happen, exactly. And he's like, well, you have an alarm, which is really great because some people just walk out of the walking you out with their newborn and they have no clue. And it's like, at least this one will tell you if she stops breathing. I'm like, that's true. You got a point there.
No, definitely.
And he's like, if you see her and you see she's breathing and she's okay, like, he's like, you can allow yourself to just accept that and just like, be like, she is okay. It's behind us. Yes, you still have a bumpy road ahead, but just, look forward to, don't worry about the what if and focus on the what is kind of thing. And that helped a lot. So, and then with my son, 13 months later, I had my son, Freddie. It wasn't as severe with him. I had a doula that time, and I strongly recommend having a doula, even though I wound up having a scheduled C-section, because he went past his due date and he did not drop at all. Like, he didn't want to come out for nothing. So they just did a
it was like the
C-section.
opposite. Yeah.
Yeah. So he with him it wasn't as bad. And I did have a doula, and she was a huge help, because she literally, if I was texting her at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., like with help, like she was like, she only lived like 20 minutes away. She's like, "Do you want me to come over?" Like, she was great. Super shout out to her. So having her helped, and having Freddie just like a more natural birth, and like being able to hold him, it was weird. Like the first day, I gave birth to him, and then hours later I was holding him. I was like, it feels so weird not having wires. And my doula was like, that's the saddest thing I've ever heard.
Honestly though, I was just gonna say that. Yeah. I was just gonna say that.
I was like, wow, how do I even newborn?
What really puts things into perspective though is because, like, you're like, oh wow, it's actually like, and it's like noticing that it's the norm for it to not be wires. So it just really just makes you appreciate what really is the norm. And then it's like a lot of people don't realize how good they have it kind of thing. And like that, then again, I don't want to like dismiss what anybody goes through, because I know sometimes things affect people differently. But yeah, it's just putting it in perspective. And it's just, it was definitely different to have like a normal way to come home versus like wires and such.
Exactly. Yeah, it was wild. And like, I did still have some postpartum depression with him, but also it was like, I was in the middle of a move. I had just gotten hired by Disney. I was 2 weeks postpartum when I interviewed with Disney. And I just, and then 2 weeks later they offered me the job. I accepted it. So like, I moved and he was only 5 weeks old. So like, I don't have time to have depression because I was too busy moving from New Jersey to Florida and starting a new life.
Me too. Yeah, we both did that. We both got our bags from Jersey and moved to Florida.
See you later. Bye, Jersey.
I feel like we should do like 3 people on this podcast in an episode. Me, you, and Caitlin, and just all talk about our experience in Jersey.
There's a whole level of depression that comes with living in New Jersey.
Oh, can we make this a podcast episode?
It's gonna be a thing.
I think we should do it. I honestly think we should do a separate episode. We'll have Caitlin come over. We'll have a nice glass of wine and just chat about Jersey.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And I'm sure I know my Jersey people are listening to this right now. I love y'all, but come on.
What do you do with those property taxes? Come on.
Property taxes. Like, my hometown's like run down right now. I feel so bad. I'm sorry. I love my people. This is okay. I only have 1 glass of wine. I'm not even done.
Oh gosh.
Oh goodness. This wine is so good though. I actually didn't wake up with a hangover, so that's good.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah, I had a whole bottle last night. I swear, I did it because it was a celebration. It was a celebration, yeah. It was super fun. But yeah, I didn't wake up hungover, so that's good. My goodness, people are gonna think I'm drunk on this thing. I swear I'm not.
She's not. She really.
I swear I'm not. I'm such a bad influence. No, I have a good heart though. I swear.
Oh, you do. You do.
Yeah. So you said that you were busy, that you didn't like have time for depression, which really means you're just distracted. Your mind's distracted.
Yeah, because it was different. Because I started work with Disney. I started training when he was only 6 weeks old, and so there comes all of that associated guilt with leaving the newborn when he's only 6 weeks old. So like, I had to stop breastfeeding because I couldn't keep up with like the pumping schedule. So I didn't get to have that like bond with him. And just like, I've been working ever since. I've been working since 2015 or since October 2015. He was born late August 2015. I've never, not worked. So like, I've missed a lot of big moments, and there's a lot of just associated guilt that comes with being a working mom in general. Yeah. Which is not so much as just like postpartum depression, but after I had him and like I realized, wow, this is like a totally different experience having him. I also realized how few moms publicly talk about postpartum depression, and even though it affects a lot of people, I started really looking into it, and like support groups and stuff like that. And there's such a, I mean, I know there's such a stigma was just associated with talking about mental health, and it's like you're looked at as weak or like broken or like what you don't like your baby or something.
And that's the purpose of my whole podcast, is that we're having this conversation. It's not looking like, oh, you're weak or this. It's like, no, you are a badass. This is like, it's crazy. Like, I just want, the reason I'm having this podcast is because I want to change the way people look at people with mental illness, because people don't understand that our brains are not functioning the way as other people, but we still have to act like the other people. Like, we still have to go to work. We still have to pay the bills. Like, we got to do everything the same way. And it's like people, and they look down at us and like, you don't understand how great we are. Like, you don't understand that. And that's the reason why I built this podcast. I made
you built it.
Well, I've been building it. It's my new empire. The reason why I'm having this podcast is because I want to change the way we look about it. And I want to change the way we talk about mental health and such. And like, I know it's definitely a touchy topic. And of course I'm not gonna, like, it's very serious, but also it's just like, it should just be a normal conversation.
No, it absolutely should. And that's why, like, I wish I was in a position where I could just like create a platform where for like, especially for new moms, like, we recently had a lot of our friends and coworkers recently became new moms. And I tried to make a point to reach out to them in particular, because I know it's a lot, especially during a pandemic. I can only imagine. But
it has been a pandemic.
Can be a very lonely experience, especially if your spouse is working or whatever. Especially the first day you're alone with your newborn, you're like, what am I going to do? So I wish there was more of a support system for new moms, because postpartum depression just hits you so hard, because it hits you like a freaking truck. Like, it's just so much at once, and you have to worry about a newborn, and you're not sleeping, and you're not eating right. All of your schedules are thrown off, and you have to deal with a screaming, crying infant, and you don't know what to do, and then you're just like depressed, and you go.
It's a lot.
It's so much, and I wish there was more of a platform.
It's so scary too. I know some women do commit suicide.
Oh yeah,
like, absolutely. It's so dangerous.
And you never know, because especially with social media, everyone has to act like they're happy all the time. God forbid.
I don't. I
know. Which is great. I wish
I'm
more people
so
were
straight up on Instagram, or like, okay, I'm mostly on Twitter. I'm on Twitter. I need to, like, they need to ban me like they banned Donald Trump. Because I'm just so annoying.
You're not annoying.
I know. I didn't break the terms and conditions, and I didn't cause a riot, so we're good.
You're not going to be banned. You're fine. No, it's. I really wish there was more support, and like, even.
Why don't you create like a Facebook group?
I know. I probably should. I mean, I know there are. What is it? There's like breastfeeding support groups out there, but there's also a lot of moms who don't or can't breastfeed, or just choose not to, which is also a completely valid option. And like, also mom groups can be a little judgy. Surprise, surprise.
Mom what? I'm sorry?
Mom groups can be super judgy.
It's natural with women.
Yeah. So it's rough. So I wish like there was more like I'll give my doula. I wish everyone had a doula. I know not everyone could afford a doula, or not everyone knows what doulas are, but they're basically they are your physical and emotional support coach for your pregnancy through birth. It's kind of more, I wouldn't say hippy dippy, but it kind of is. Like, she was helping me, like, she gave me prenatal massages, and like when we were trying to like trigger labor, she was like doing like acupuncture and things like that, like pressure points. She helped me like with like, meditation and stuff like that. Like, they're a completely valid career. They'll help you with your birth. So like, because like you have like, your spouse or your partner or whatever with you. But sometimes you just don't want to see their face. So like she would have been like, if I had a normal, if I had like a vaginal birth, then it would have been more like, her helping and like, massage and like doing different positions, whatever it is, she would have done it. Like she was great. And she only, for the whole pregnancy, she was only $700, which really is not bad.
Wow, that's not bad at all.
Considering everything she did. And like, even she was there after, and that helped a lot too. And I wish everyone had more access to it.
I didn't even know that existed, honestly.
Yeah, it sounds.
Then again, I've never been a mother. I know nothing.
Yeah.
So this is just all like, really, This is an educational opportunity for me and for everybody listening here.
Yay.
So yeah, I had no idea it existed.
Yeah.
Hi y'all, so I'm going to be recording this outro here. I currently don't have Christina with me. The outro that we originally recorded unfortunately got deleted. So I'm just going to do the outro by myself. But thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you, Christina, for being on my podcast. I really do appreciate it. And if you guys want to follow me, all those links will be in my bio. And then me and Christina discussed that. We'll put hers as well. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you guys have a wonderful evening or night or morning or whatever time it is by you.